What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special. And the COMEX futures market for precious metals, in particular gold and silver, is rigged. It's not a conspiracy theory, that is a fact. And one of the favorite tools of market manipulators is called spoofing. We're going to talk about what spoofing is, and we're going to break it down into ultra simple terms for me and the other smooth brain apes out there. You ready? Hit it. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special. And if you've been following me since the Reddit days, you know I talk an awful lot about how the COMEX futures market for gold and silver is a rigged game. And a long time ago, I did a video about spoofing on Reddit, and I want to revisit that today because there was a headline in the news about two Bank of America Merrill Lynch traders who are currently on trial for spoofing. And yesterday, evidence was introduced where these two guys were bragging to each other in a chat room about how easy it is for them to move the gold prices up and down and basically rip traders off. Right? And this is not an isolated case. And back in June, there was a similar case where two Deutsche Bank traders were convicted and sentenced to a year in prison. Same thing, manipulating, spoofing markets, moving the prices, bragging in chat rooms about how easy it is to rip people off and move the price of gold and silver. These are not isolated cases. These are just cases of the worker bees getting prosecuted while the executives get off scot-free. And that has been happening for years, and it's still going on almost every day in the market. So what is spoofing? Spoofing is the illegal practice of placing large buyer-sell orders with the intention of manipulating price and then canceling those orders prior to execution. I want to emphasize the illegal part. What it really is it's psychological warfare. It's a way that the traders at these bullion banks get inside your head and convince you to panic sell, and then they scoop up your silver at a discount, or they scoop up your gold at a discount. Now, I've spent a lot of time trying to understand spoofing, and I've looked at a lot of charts where spoofing had happened, and a lot of this stuff just went right over my ape smooth brain. I really was having a hard time following it. I was just getting more and more confused. I was scratching my head a lot. So I tried to come up with a real world analogy that would be real easy to understand. And I arrived at the analogy of a flea market. All right. I want you to picture a flea market, except this flea market sells gold and silver bullion. And you've got people selling their silver. These are small-time players, right? They're selling out of the back of a van. You know, they don't have huge warehouses full of silver, but they're relatively well-to-do. And they're selling silver for, say, around $28. All right? And there's buyers in this market, and there's sellers in this market, and they're haggling back and forth a couple of pennies each way. But basically, they're selling for about $28 an ounce. That's a free and fair market with real-world price discovery. Now, along comes this giant 18-wheeler tractor trailer. I mean, this thing is loud, and it's big, and everybody notices it pulling up. He rolls up into the flea market, and he comes to a stop. You know, there's the big squeak and the big hiss when his brake engages and everything. Everybody's looking now. And out of this truck hops Mr. Moneybags. I mean, this guy just looks rich. I picture your Monopoly guy. I mean, he's wearing fancy clothes. I mean, maybe he's even got the monocle in his eye. This guy's just screaming money. He looks like a big player. And now everyone's like, whoa, what's this guy up to? And he jumps out of his truck and he yells, I'm selling silver for $26 an ounce. Everybody's like, whoa, $26 an ounce? My man over here in the van selling it for $28 an ounce. And now all the buyers are looking over here, and the little guys, the small vendors, all of a sudden they have no buyers. And they're like, oh man, look at this guy, this rich guy. Look at his truck all full of silver. He's selling it for $26 an ounce. Geez, I better lower my prices or I'm not going to sell anything. So real quick, this one street vendor decides it's time to get out, right? He's terrified of this big guy putting him out of business, and he's going to sell whatever he can when he can. So real quick, he just says, okay, I'll sell my silver for $26 an ounce before the big tractor trailer takes all my business away. Now, what this guy doesn't know is that mixed in among the buyers at this flea market are the henchmen who work for Mr. Moneybags in the big rig. And these henchmen have been lying in wait, and they just knew this little trader was going to do this because they've been coordinating. So as soon as this guy in the van puts his silver up for sale for $26 an ounce, the henchmen step in and say, okay, I'll take it. and they buy everything he's got at $26. I mean, they clean him out, every ounce he's got for sale. The henchmen buy it, they pay for it. The next thing you know, Mr. Moneybags in the truck gets right back in the truck and drives off the lot. That's the canceling of the spoof orders. You see, there was never any silver in that truck. He was never going to sell anything. That was just this giant fake sell order that had the psychological impact of convincing that little street vendor to lower his prices. And then the crooked buyers were standing by, ready to scoop up everything he had. That's the panic selling and the stop losses getting triggered. That's spoofing. What's the net result? The big guy never sold a thing. He never had a thing to sell. He was just playing the part. But he convinced the little guy to sell everything. And he was cleaned out. He sold all of his silver below market value. And as soon as that truck drove off the lot, the price went right back up to $28 an ounce, the fair market value. Now, can you see how that small trader just had $2 an ounce stolen from him by that fake seller and his buying henchman? That's spoofing. That kind of thing happens every day on the COMEX. It is a daily occurrence, and it's been going on for years. The CFTC knows this. They allow it. They make token prosecutions of low-level traders, and these prosecutions take years. I mean, right now, the prosecution that's ongoing is for spoofing that occurred from 2009 to 2014. All right, that was 7 years ago. They've been doing it every day since. No executives have gone to jail. The banks themselves have been able to settle these cases for token amounts. I mean, amounts in the millions. They're siphoning billions of dollars off of market traders, and they're settling with prosecutors for millions of dollars. Now, if you think these are just isolated cases of small traders doing this and not really having any material effect on the market, I want to point out this article to you. All right, this is from September of 2020. This was not that long ago, where J.P. Morgan's precious metals trading desk was referred to as a criminal enterprise by the Department of Justice. And they settled for a record $1 billion. It was just under $1 billion to settle that spoofing penalty. And I want to read you an excerpt from this article. For 8 years, a group of traders at J.P. Morgan systematically spoofed precious metals and treasury futures markets by entering hundreds of thousands of orders with the intent to cancel them before execution. Hundreds of thousands. That's J.P. Morgan. That is the largest owner of silver in the world, J.P. Morgan. That is the custodian of the SLV iShares Silver Trust, the largest silver ETF that's out there. This criminal enterprise is still allowed to be the custodian of the largest exchange-traded silver product in the world. That's a criminal enterprise that's doing that. And the fines that they got, $1 billion. Tell me, do you think hundreds of thousands of instances of spoofing with the kind of volume and the kind of money that J.P. Morgan was throwing around behind those trades? You think they made more than $1 billion in profits off of their spoofing activities? You bet they did. Oh, yeah. So when the fines for supposedly illegal activity amount to less than the proceeds of that crime, is it really illegal? Or is that just the cost of doing business? Now, I want to emphasize that so far, only floor traders have been prosecuted. No executives, no VPs, no CEOs, and none of these institutions have been banned from participating in the precious metals trade. They're still doing it. They're fined less than they make doing it. They're still allowed to do it, and nobody of any substance gets prosecuted. JP Morgan is still running the SLV. Every couple of years, a token floor trader is prosecuted, and the media gets involved and they say, see, our heroic regulators are taking these crooked banks to task. And the illegal activity continues day in and day out. Nobody does a thing about it. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't want you to touch a trade based on anything I tell you. I'm nobody special, and I want you to do your own DD and your own research. arrive at a decision that's right for you based on your unique situation. However, the reason I don't get into futures and I don't get into the SLV is because those are rigged markets. They are fake paper markets where no physical metal ever moves or changes hands. It is not the real market for silver. That's why I buy physical silver. And the more people that buy physical silver, the less control these crooks will have over the market. And you're starting to see that movement this year with the Wall Street Silver Group and with the silver squeeze movement and the massive demand for investment grade silver in a physical form, not in a paper form, is slowly breaking their stranglehold on the silver market. And one of these days, I don't know when it's going to be, but one of these days, and I think it'll be soon, suddenly that whole house of cards at the COMEX is going to come crashing down, and we're going to find out how much an ounce of silver is really worth to a real buyer who wants a real ounce of silver. Guys, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. It would really help me out. In the meantime, live small and dream big.